Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our LinkedIn Live event. We are thrilled to have you with us today. We are talking about a very important and timely topic, and that is event technology trends for 2025. My name is Sarah O'Neill, and I'm the Senior Director of Marketing here at Meetings and Incentives Worldwide. So I brought along a powerhouse team with me today in the world of event technology. They certainly have experience in the world of event tech at large, but they also have direct experience in transforming events for our clients at M&IW. And finally, they have the deepest respect for me for the work that they do. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Chip Begley. He is the Director of Event Technology here at M&IW. Welcome, Chip.
Hello. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Great. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Glad to be here.
Good, good. I am going to introduce your partner in crime, Anca Platon Trifan. She is the Senior Manager of Strategic Partnerships here at M&IW. Welcome, Anca.
So glad to be here. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the warm introduction.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to let you two kick it off and take it away. But once again, I wanted to thank you all for being here today. And I certainly hope you enjoy this hour of insight and information. Have a great time, you two, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm excited. Who's ready for some exciting glimpse into technology trends for 2025? Huh?
I know I am. I'm so excited to be here. And guess what? We have such a diverse audience and they're all tuning in all over the place. You get a chance to tune in into the LinkedIn chat, Chip, to see where they're all coming from.
Yeah, it's amazing. Also,
all right.
Quick shout out to the lady behind the scenes, Jill Pearson. She is running our chat for M&IW. So she is our lady behind the scenes. Jill, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you for doing such a good job, not just with the chat right now, but also with those beautiful graphics that you see on the screen. She is the mastermind behind all of that, and Sarah as well and her team. So that being said, I am super excited to get into this topic. The most impactful technology trends as we see it shaping our industry in 2025. What are you excited about the topic, Chip?
Oh, I'm very excited. I love forward-thinking discussions, and this has got me fired up.
I know I am fired up as well, because if there's something that I'm passionate about is innovation and future thinking. And this is the topic that we're going to cover. But I'm curious, as you're all tuning in from so many different places, and I'm sure you have such a wide experience when it comes to technology and integration and AI and all the things that make our world better, I would say, if I am allowed to have my personal opinion in there. I'm curious, what's one event tech tool that you have used, say, in the last year, maybe the last few years, that has really enhanced connection at your events? Because technology by itself is just technology, right? We want to highlight the fact that connection, the human connection, is what we really are all about, right, Chip?
That's right. The power of human energy.
Absolutely. I love that. Fantastic. So let's see what, while everybody's trickling in the chat and adding their thoughts on that event tech tool that they've used or they stand behind, I think we should get started with our first trend. What do you think, Chip?
Let's dive into it.
All right. Well, get us going. Let's go.
All right. So I will start with personalization. So, AI is busting onto the scene. And I think with the AI evolution, we're going to see a much more personalization in the event space. Everything from registration, attendees registering will be asked to, during the registration process, they'll be prompted to complete some questions, maybe their job title, areas of interest, preferred session formats, and networking preferences. This will help the AI in the back design a curated and personalized agenda that is targeted directly for them. So imagine somebody with the job role of a developer, and they're interested in AI. So they might want to, their agenda might pop up to the top all the sessions that are related to AI for a developer. It's things like AI in 2025 keynotes. They also want hands-on workshops, so they'll get those items as well. Also, when you're looking at the networking opportunity, the agenda will include meet up with peers as a special event for them to join. So what this does, though, it leaves the attendees with the feeling that the event is really tailored specifically to them. It's going to enhance their engagement, their excitement, and their overall satisfaction, because they're going to think it's just for them personally.
I couldn't agree more. I think there's something to be said about personalization being a real game changer, especially because it also offers convenience. If you make the attendees feel seen, valued, and understood on that profound level that really speaks to them, then you really, take care of them in a very personal way, right? That's basically the definition. You're not going to get a Webster definition from me, but that's basically my best definition of what that is. And when individuals recognize that an event has been tailored to their needs, their sense of belonging and engagement skyrockets. And it's more than just enhancement, in my opinion. It's a transformation in how we approach our networking pairings, our matchmaking, how we expand on those results. And I think as event professionals, this is really our ultimate goal, to create spaces where attendees can not just participate, but empower their contributions to the event success. And I love there's a lot of answers right now in the chat to our to the topic and also to our previous question. What an engaged audience do we have, Chip?
I love it. I can't keep up. There's so many comments. All right.
I know. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Jill, for putting those highlights on the screen. And I'm seeing personalization is critical. Doing that at scale at an attendee level is the key. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And we want to definitely hear from you. Like, what's one area of your event where you have seen personalization make the biggest impact? And as you're dropping those answers in the chat, let's dive into our second trend. Those are some great thoughts that you shared, Chip.
Thank you. All right, the second trend then, matchmaking, AI matchmaking and networking lounges. So this is a win-win for everybody involved. From the attendee perspective, just think of the personalized discovery, connecting with attendees and exhibitors, offering relevant products and services specifically for you. It's saving your valuable time and giving you more value. Think about the efficiency in networking. It enables pre-scheduled, meaningful interactions, eliminating that overwhelming time you spend staring at a floor map trying to figure out where you're going to go next, that sort of thing. So AI and these matchmaking tools can schedule that and plan this out for you. I also think there's broader opportunities as well. So AI may suggest someone for you to visit that you might not know has the same interests as you. So it could broaden your own mind or your own knowledge of what's available, what are the opportunities. And then for the exhibitors, qualified leads, the exhibitors knows that when those people come up to them, there is an interest there. It matches the attendees that are genuinely interested in what they're there to discuss, which increases the conversations. That's higher ROI. Sponsors and exhibitors are always looking for that higher ROI. So this focuses time on the high prospects, maximizing their investment in that event. And then stronger engagement. These meetings will have people that are there and excited and want to talk about that. So those in-depth conversations are going to lead to that stronger engagement.
I'll tell you what, Chip, I personally believe that without networking, we wouldn't have events. I don't know if I would go to an event if there was not some networking opportunity. To me, networking is the heartbeat of every event, and getting this, matchmaking right is essential for maximizing that value. Now, we've used tools in the past, as you mentioned. There were different ways in which we would take the registration data and then the attendee tags to create matches, and that worked pretty well. I mean, it barely scratched the surface, but it did the job. as you alluded to, AI matchmaking now, it's going to take that to the next level. I am super excited to see where that takes us, because if I can imagine matchmaking on steroids, using that rich data source to align attendees' goals and interests at even a deeper level, to me, that is success.
Yeah.
And this approach is not just, facilitating the connections, as we mentioned ROI, we mentioned the business interest to this, that will drive that meaningful business, that ROI that we're looking after, especially as an exhibitor. I've been to so many events, and if you put so much money to exhibit as an exhibitor and do not get qualified leads, you're kind of leaving money on the table. You're throwing money away in so many ways. Sure, you're there for the connection and you make some great relationships, but at the end of the day, we also mean business.
Business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious, what do we have in the chat right now? As far as what is the most effective networking strategy that you've seen or experienced at an event? Is it a tool? Is it a strategy? Is it some kind of a mix of the both? Do you have any examples yourself, Chip, that you can draw from?
Yeah, I'll just go back. I'll think about our event, the M&IW Summit, where we bring vendors and customers together. I know we have a lot of hotels that are suppliers for us, but I know I'm not who they need to talk to. So me stopping and interacting with their booth, while I want to thank them for being at our event, I'm not their target person. So like I said, using these matchmaking tools where you can really figure out who is the right person for you to speak to is how you can maximize that ROI. I think that's what makes the juice worth the squeeze for our exhibitors.
I love that. Julie, thank you so much for commenting. We have been using QR codes or name badges on site for our attendees to connect in person. It is a digital business card. I see Sai saying that AI-powered tools can be very effective when it comes to creating and planning content, and it can be generated to be tailored to the attendee profile, and then that tie back to personalization. It's true. Now to the networking topic that you just mentioned, I would really love to hear more examples if you do have, for the benefit of everyone that's in the chat. And while you do that, we're going to move into our next trend, because we've got quite a few trends to cover, and I love how rich the conversation in the chat is. So keep it going.
There's a lot of questions in this chat that I want to address, but I've kind of got something. I want to talk about a couple of the trends first and then weave that in. So I see your questions, and there's a couple that I'm going to get to in just a minute, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And make sure that you vote on the questions that are in the chat that are really speaking to you, or you're really interested to hear the answer, and that will help us curate it a little bit. But fear not, we will get back to you afterwards if we do not get a chance to do it during this live stream. So just know that we're going to be definitely collecting those questions, and if we don't get to it, don't worry, we'll find a way to do that. Now, trend number 3, I have some feelings attached to this trend.
Me too. How we're going to dig into this, I feel like.
Yeah, that's right. So AI chatbots for registration and engagement. I'll tell you right off the bat, I am not a big fan of chatbots just for the sake of having one, but they can definitely be very useful tools when you apply them thoughtfully. They can, answer your very basic, frequently asked questions. They can even guide attendees through a sign up, or maybe it can send some personalized reminders. And I've seen them in action. I've used them myself, and I think they serve their purpose. But at the same time, we have to think about this. Registration is our first touch point with our attendees. And that really sets the tone for the entire attendee experience. And while, you could use a chatbot, and that's been increasingly popular to handle, frequently asked questions, as I mentioned, sending personalized invitations and keeping that human connection to your registration is utterly important.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Well, from someone who values and loves the fact that our company is focused on white glove service, chatbot seems to be going the opposite way of that. But
Exactly.
there are benefits. Let's just to highlight some of the benefits, some of the pros of using chatbots for registration and engagement. It simplifies the process for the attendee. It's instant access to answers for them. It's available 24/7 for them, and it can be personalized and tailored to their experience based on the questions they've answered during registration or previous engagements. So that's the benefit for them. And also for the planner, just from, and I think a lot of you can probably map this onto your own life. If in your job, if you could take the not mundane, but the repetitive tasks that you do day to day over and over and over, and just compartmentalize them over there, and they just get done automatically, how much time would you have to be more creative, to take something to the next level, to rewrite that paragraph, to make sure that it's right, from a web design perspective, to how can you enhance this web design? Those are from a planner perspective. How could you tackle something that's really big that needs to be handled? Those complex issues, or strategic. Look at the strategy of the event. So putting all those repetitive tasks in a bucket and compartmentalizing and getting them out of the way, so to speak, enhances your ability to be more creative and more productive. So that's the benefit of the chatbot.
Couldn't agree more. And Julie, to your point there, I think AI would only be useful for registration for very, 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 she's really highlighting for the very simple questions like, what is the hotel address? What is the deadline to register? Anything more complicated? I agree. I mean, it would work, but it would take away that human touch. So what I'm hearing from Chip, from everyone that is sharing their thoughts in the chat, what truly makes a difference here is striking that right balance, because technology should serve as an enabler, not a replacement for human interaction. So if you do plan to use this hybrid approach of your chatbots handling the straightforward tasks that were mentioned, but then you have a human that is readily available for a more personalized support, that really ensures that attendees feel both supported and valued. And that also builds trust, right? I think trust is an underrated element here, because that really sets the stage for a positive event experience that technology alone cannot achieve. I am thinking of how many times I've used a chatbot, let's just say like, flying and having to change my flight last minute, and using the chatbot and then just begging for a representative to talk to me because I would rather be talking to a human and explain to them, this is my situation. I need to make my connection. Can you help me, please? Right. So those are the type of instances that having someone that is readily available, we will build that trust with your brand, with your event. And I cannot overstate that more. And I think those are the comments that I saw in the chat. Anything else that I feel like the chat is a little delayed for me. So I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Anything else that stood out to you, Chip?
Yeah, I think one person asked, how do you ensure attendees feel valued and connected when using AI-powered tools like chatbots or matchmaking? To me, for the chatbot specifically, my preference or my recommendation is bake in the option to bypass the bot, right? If I'm someone and I have a complex question, I need to speak to somebody, let me bypass that and get a person. So I think having both avenues, and that way you're accommodating people that have different preferences. So I think that's how you handle that.
I couldn't agree more. Any other questions that, let's see, that popped up that I might have not seen? Okay, just scrolling through the chat right now. While I do that, let's get into our next trend, Chip.
Yeah, okay. So data analysis. So this is important because just think about all the information that we are gathering during events. Are we maximizing what we're getting out of that data? There's a wealth of information there. So I put together a little hypothetical case study, and pardon me if I read some of it, but this is something I wanted to kind of get through together. So here's the client it's a global technology conference seeking to enhance attendee engagement and sponsor ROI. So this is the case study we're analyzing, and we're going to focus on how to take that data and get the best return on investment for it. So the challenge is The event team needs real-time insights to measure attendee engagement, optimize session participation, and improve your sponsor visibility. So our traditional reporting methods are maybe too slow or lack the detail that you need during the event. Our solution, let's bring in a BI tool like Domo to aggregate the data, pulling from different platforms, whether it's the registration platform, the mobile app platform, session attendance, exhibitor interaction. We can create real-time dashboards that give you the analysis and visualizations that you need to take immediate action. So what do you get out of that? Session optimization. You can immediately, in real time, see which sessions have underperformed in terms of session sign up. We could send push notifications or targeted email communications to those folks that might be most interested in that session, and that would increase the attendance or the registration. Sponsor engagement. Use heat maps to show which exhibitor booths had low traffic last year. How can we incorporate better signage, better push notifications, better communications to boost those low visited booths? Content strategy. Post-event surveys can show you what attendees got most out of which session. This can help you shape the programming of the future based on what your audience is interested in. So the outcomes with this hypothetical case study is increased engagement. Overall, attendees will increase their engagement by proactive session sign up and adjusting the booths. Higher ROI for sponsors. Like we mentioned earlier, our sponsors want to get their return on investment. It's a business, right? So improved visibility for them. Targeted action leads to more increased interactions with those visitor booths. And then enhanced future planning. Like I said, take the data from this year and use that to make next year off the charts. So it's about taking this data, using it effectively and efficiently, and then building on that for the future.
Exactly. I love this case study that you brought up and presented to us. Any thoughts in the audience to what was presented? And if you have any feedback that you want to share, please drop it. What I wanted to highlight here is data is not just about tracking metrics, it's about providing the value and ROI of meetings and events. And beyond the operational insights that you use data for, data is also becoming this critical asset that you can use to integrate events into the broader marketing and sales tech stack. Data-driven insights aren't just about the numbers, right? They're about the momentum that you can build. When you integrate the event data early in your planning process, not only does it smooth the workflow, but it also ensures that event aligns then with the larger business objectives. It's not about amplifying success. It's about measuring. And what do they say about what you don't measure, you can't really track, right? So the earlier you have the ability to integrate a data tool, as Chip mentioned, Domo or any other tool out there that you particularly use or prefer, and the earlier you get to integrate it into your planning process, the better then you can measure and amplify the success. And I've seen this where a recent client has used a real-time data to adjust breakup room sizes just because they were trying to avoid overcrowding, and with that obviously improve the attendee satisfaction. I'm curious in the chat if anybody is having any other thoughts. Let's see, thoughts or questions. I think we are looking at a few comments about chatbots. Any comments about data that you see, Chip, that I'm not able to capture?
I'll pick this one out. How are you using attendee feedback and data to improve your events year over year? So that's a couple things. Yeah. So number one, you've got to get participation. So you've got to make sure you're getting the feedback from the audience when it's fresh on their mind. I'm always a fan of session level surveys. Maybe you can push it out on the mobile app as soon as it happens. So people, as it's fresh in their mind, can answer it while they're maybe walking to the next session or going to lunch or whatever. So I think feedback as soon as possible after the session is critical. The other piece that I would recommend there is to really analyze the questions you're asking and how you're asking them, and also giving comment boxes. So people, if they want to elaborate on what they would change or make better, they can do that. That's valuable insights that can make you make slight adjustments for future programs that could have a big impact on your score, your how many stars people give your session, that sort of thing. Your audience is giving you what they want, and this is your opportunity to, in return, give them what they're asking for the next year.
I love that. To Lori's question, I think we missed that during the AI chatbot trend. Resources for learning how to use it. Lori, would you mind maybe give a little bit of detail of what specifics you're thinking about as far as resources? And thank you, Sai, for dropping a link in there. I saw that. Very cool. And then I guess I'm up to date. Are we up to date, Chip? Are you seeing anything else that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I think we're good so far. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all your questions. Feel free to keep dropping them. We are definitely looking for those. I am experiencing a bit of delay in the LinkedIn loop back into the studio with the questions. So just be patient with us as we're trying to navigate that. Now, let's look at our next trend. Our trend number 5, I think it is. Lost count.
Okay. So number 5 is sustainability, but with a tech twist. So this is the opportunity to look at food waste management platforms that can connect surplus food from events with local communities that are in need. So, Copia is a great example. This reduces food waste and it supports social causes in the local community where your event is being held by tracking the volume of food and redistributing it to the places that need it. So it has an environmental impact, less food going into landfills, and it also has an impact on CO2, carbon emissions, and that sort of thing. So highly encourage you looking into that. There are a couple more I want to mention. Travel emission calculators. You can use these to integrate with your registration platform and know, for example, when you're traveling to a meeting, which the home airport you're departing from, where you're traveling to, layovers that are involved. Once you land at the destination, are you taking a train, a taxi, that sort of thing? And this can calculate your travel footprint for yourself and add it all together for the entire event. And that gives you the opportunity to make, an impact on that if you so choose. So, CO2 emissions, all that can be calculated in one big, large number or on an individual basis.
Absolutely. I think to what you just said, and the use of Copia, I dropped in the chat a few stats that our marketing just posted recently on the Facebook, on the LinkedIn page. And to me, that just blew my mind. Okay. To be able to measure, and also to what Kimberly just mentioned, this goes into the data, the use of data to show ROI and contribute to the bigger picture. That right here is amazing, to have all this impact being done. It's tremendous. And when it comes to sustainability, I think that AI can also be a powerful tool due to its ability to rapidly assess the data that you have, detect the patterns, and then predict future outcomes. And this is something that plenty of environmental organizations use it for this purpose alone. And planners can use it too as well. Think, creating an easy to read data set, quantifying the carbon emissions from your event, and that can be done in seconds. Or sourcing or doing research for a venue that really takes into consideration what the carbon footprint that it produces. A conference center that would limit some of the carbon emissions that come with events, and using AI to to prioritize the renewable energy opportunities. And to me, sustainability, this is where it goes way beyond the technology, because if you also do the human side of working with your partners and your vendors to really share your values, that will contribute then to a more responsible event ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, right, sustainability isn't just about what we save, it's about what we can give back. And those metrics, when they were shared, I was just like, right here and there, like, this is amazing. And that also showing that kind of impact, that again goes back to the trust, right? Builds trust, but then also it helps offset some of the emissions and the waste that truth is just part of putting on events. And if you can also highlight the attendees engagement, then you bring them into the story, and then they feel like they're part of it. They were part of those numbers, and they were also participating to the overall goal that you shared in your marketing and you share with them for your event, and then you were able to achieve some of those goals. Sustainability is huge, and I'm super passionate about seeing how much technology and AI could be used. There's also the draw side of that, the downside of AI. And actually, I was just reading a article that just came out from Smart Meetings. There is the AI environmental impact that is out there that we need to be aware of, but not to point the finger. It's just to be aware of the impact, and then help develop, support systems and in a way that we can use AI ethically and responsibly.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to M&IW sustainability champion, Donna Collins. I see her comment in the chat. Donna, I'm so glad you're watching. She put in a quote that I want to say out loud. The quote is, "We don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly." So round of applause for that quote. I love that. And for me, sustainability has evolved over time from being something that's good and will have an impact on the world to from a nice thing to do to something that's just the right thing to do now. So I'm glad we're really focusing on that. And I want to give a shout out to one more sustainability platform before we move on from this area, and that is digital swag platforms. So just imagine replacing giveaways with a virtual option using tools like Givesly and that sort of thing. It cuts waste from unused things that people aren't going to use, but enables meaningful contributions, perhaps maybe planting trees or a donation to somebody in somebody's behalf. So it's really a good option to replace those. It's a sustainable option, not a good option. I won't promote it, but it's a sustainable option if you want to replace those physical bags with a digital swag bag.
And if I may say, it is the responsible thing to do. I don't know how many times I walked away from events with a bunch of swag that ends up in the landfill. I don't know what to do with it. I'm not given the ideas. Hey, by the way, maybe you should donate it to this, or maybe we should recollect it. If you don't plan to use it, instead of throwing it away, here's a donation box, and we'll have a plan for it. There's so much waste with just those things alone. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's important to keep that in mind. I wanted to point something else that was said in the chat. Julie, I think, said, we have added a sustainability tab to our event app, and we use this tab to call out any venue, transportation, or supplier initiatives that may otherwise go unnoticed. That's awesome. Everybody wants a bit of like patting on the back and kudos, right? If you are, as Donna mentioned, if you're part of the many that are doing something, let's recognize those efforts, because it can be so overwhelming to look at the immense amount of work that needs to be done and just put your hands in the air and say, I don't feel like my little trying here is making any impact. I don't feel like everything that I can do will make a difference. And I think there is so much more to that. But going back to Donna's comment, do your little thing, and let's highlight those moments and give the kudos where they are or what they're earned and needed. And with that, I think we are ready to get into our next trend. And I'm a little passionate about this as well. I know we're both passionate about sustainability, but let me tell you why I'm passionate about this one. Okay. And this trend talks about breaking language barriers. Okay. So real-time translation tools are the type of tools that you would put into this bucket. And they're really changing the way we see accessibility, especially at global events. And I think we definitely experimented a little bit with this over COVID during virtual events. I really wanted to capture an international audience, and we use captions to live audio translations to language interpreters and to sign languages and all of that. As an English as a second language speaker myself, it is incredibly meaningful when I see those tools that are being used, because it really shows the thoughtfulness and it creates a sense of belonging for attendees like me that sometimes might struggle to follow through, or I need captions to read along, or I might need a completely different language to be translated to, which is common, especially, for events that are of international nature. So when people feel like their unique needs are accounted for, it really fosters that deeper engagement and connection. It goes back to the connection, to the engagement, and offering those translation tools should be kind of like a standard. The same way we provide, accessibility ramps to our events, sign language interpreters, where the case may be, for those that can hear. Those inclusivity measures really touch me on a personal level, because it really shows that we care and that we ensure that everyone feels welcome.
Yeah, in our business, we are producing events with the purpose of delivering content or information that we want our audience to receive and retain, right? So if you are able to remove one of the obstacles to make that person retain that information better, why not do it? It's worth the investment. So that, real time, someone asks, what tools are we using? Are they AI driven or human driven? The answer is both.
Yes, could be both.
We have a range of both. Partners from Interprify to TransPerfect, that they can use an AI bot to help translate it, or we can have somebody on a headset that's actually translating it that other people are listening to. So we have all those options on the table, and this is just, like I said, one of the items that you could remove to make their experience much more enjoyable and impactful.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. All right. That takes us into our next trend. Unless, let's see, any comments in the chat that we want to highlight, or any questions that we might have missed.
See, Kelly posted a link. I haven't looked at that, but she posted a link about swag. So I'll be interested in looking at that. I don't see anything else about language just yet, though. Cool.
I love it. Yes, Nicole, important too for those with disabilities. Couldn't agree more. I think it goes back to, again, that inclusivity, making sure that everybody feels like they belong. Yeah. All right. Let's get into our next trend, Chip.
All right. This is one of my favorite, actually. So this next trend, it's 7 and 8. We're going to combine these into one and talk about them together. And that is gamification and wearables. So wearables are great for engagement and data collection. So imagine, RFID badges or smart bracelets or lanyards that help facilitate real-time engagement for the attendees, such as contactless check-in, registering session participation, and networking. So those wearables attract the attendee movements, session attendance, booth visits, and provide actionable data that's actionable data on their preferences and their engagement patterns. So what do we get out of that? The opportunity to personalize their experience. Back to that first option, personalization. So this gives the organizers the ability to tailor the event experience to what they are interested in real time. So I feel like that's the jewel right there, is making it a personal thing. And then gamification the motivation that people have. Some audiences get so wrapped up in the game that they can't even stand it. And I love how excited people get. So the wearables and the gamification, it integrates game like a scavenger hunt, trivia, leaderboards. All those things can be tracked on wearables or with gamification. And again, you're data collecting. You're using their preferences and their behaviors so that you can make improvements for next year and personalize their interest in that moment, in that point of time.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, as a bodybuilding athlete, I have a big passion. I'm a big fan of wearables, okay? And the metrics that I can get about my health. Now, I was a very early adopter. I think Fitbit came with their very first tracker in 2007. It was this small wearable device that you could clip onto your clothing or wear it as a wristband. And all it did was tracking steps and calories that you were burning. And obviously, we've come a very long way since then. I remember that it was so not accurate at points that every movement you would do with your hands was a step. So, if you were tracking 50,000 steps a day, I have questioned how accurate that really was. But obviously, we've come a long way since then. And I see wearables today as an opportunity to not only offer that real-time insights into our attendees' health, into their wellness and behavior, and even psychological engagement, but I don't think we necessarily use wearables to their full capacity. What we know, though, is that neuroscience shows that when our attendees feel physically and mentally balanced, then their ability to engage and absorb information really improves significantly. So if we could use a wearable to track stress levels or their activity patterns of an attendee, then it can really help us, going back to what you said, Chip, personalize the schedule. Let's say maybe I need a wellness break in the middle of this packed agenda, and my wearable is telling me, hey, by the way, your stress levels are really high. Go and find that wellness lounge and take 5 because nobody's gonna be helping. Nothing will be helpful right now to you if you're gonna turn into, a little bit of a Grinch. So I know where my limit is, and I know I need to pack quiet places throughout my day and spaces to be able to recharge. So if we could use wearable in a way that provides us not just with the data, but then with the opportunity to embed it into our tech stack, and then have some actionable steps from there, I think that's where wearables will really be taken to be used at full potential and as a tool to focus on the attendee well-being, and make sure that that event experience is not just engaging, but also supportive of the entire dynamic environment that it can integrate the learning, it can integrate the health, but also integrate the business elements and everything that we care about when we put on those events. Let's see, I see Mary. And by the way, shout out to Mary Johnson. She is our neuroscience guru, I would say. I mean, she just knows everything that is to be known about neuroscience. If you have questions, do reach out to her. And she says some wearables can track unattended psychological safety. Yes, we didn't even touch on psychological safety and how important that is, and the values they are receiving and experiencing from the content that we share. Couldn't be more accurate. Thank you so much for putting that in there. I'm curious if anyone has used gamification or wearables in any way, maybe to reward behavior that really aligns with your event's goals, or like for attendees key sessions or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear people comment on that. And one more item, one more aspect of wearables that we didn't touch on that I just want to kind of mention is beyond the well-being of the person is just the engagement and interaction. In large scale events, wearables are used or phones are used to help the audience engage with the music or what's happening at a concert, or basketball introductions. There's all these things can sync now and play with music that creates a wonderful experience for your attendees. So beyond that, also just the engagement of it.
Absolutely. And to Regina's comment, absolutely. If you, experience pushback, or you do have to give attendees an option to opt
Yeah,
out. Not everybody would want to be tracked that way, and it's totally
that's
understandable.
okay.
Uh,
That's fine. Yeah.
Absolutely. So do offer an option for anyone that does not want to be to participate in anything like that. Actually, I met someone last week, and she was sharing how she doesn't wear any wearables. Even the devices that she has, like phone, laptop, wherever, goes down once the work is done. She doesn't have any device in her. She just wants to be completely free of technology after work hours, just to unwind, and doesn't track anything of that nature. And that's her safety place, and that's absolutely acceptable. And that's why wellness means different things to different people, right? While I might go crazy on tracking everything, and I have spreadsheets with many columns that track a lot of variables, someone else might be like, keep me out of it.
Yeah. Some people don't want to have that information. That's fine. That's fine.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into our next trend. I think this is one of our last trends, as we're coming to a close here. And then as we are touching on this one last trend, we're going to be closing with something that really, I think it's the conclusion of all the technology trends that we mentioned. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We still have things to talk about.
So we may have saved the best trend for last, for me, in my opinion. The last one is drones. And there's three specific ways I see drones making an impact. So obviously we've all seen the Super Bowl, we've seen the Olympics with the stunning light shows that replace the traditional fireworks with customized, eco-friendly visuals. Just imagine that's the swarm of little bugs in the sky that can display logos and messages and intricate patterns. That is such an impactful experience for the audience. That audience then in turn shares that with other people on social media. So the amplification of your impact goes even further with those. So that can amplify your event reach easily. It's no longer just for Super Bowls or Olympics. Many companies have packaged smaller templated shows that you can just swap out branding or words or verbiage or logos and then sell it at a smaller rate. My little hometown of London, Kentucky does Christmas lights over London using a drone show. And it uses their logo, it uses their branding, their messaging, but it's the same show that's kind of packaged for different municipalities around the US, but it's affordable because it's a templatized thing that you have a few things that you can take to personalize. So I just say that to think that if you think a drone show is outside the budget, it might be, but consider it. It might not be too. So look into it. The price is coming down. So those aerial shows. The second thing about drones is aerial footage of your event, whether it's inside or outside. Drones showing the exhibit hall being set up, on your pre-event days, or over the trade show hall, showing the pattern of people moving and in slow motion or in high speed. Those are impactful ways to market your event as well. Again, that will be shared immensely with other people. Then the third thing I want to mention is think about interactive experiences with drones. This is on the horizon, if not already there. Drones can deliver items. They can drop confetti. They can engage directly with an attendee during an event, making a very special interactive moment and an exciting moment. Those unique interactions can be delivering personal messages or gifts, or creating that unforgettable moment that an attendee would be eager to experience. So again, that's something that you're not going to see every day in events, but that is something that's available out there. So a few ways that you consider drones for upcoming events.
I love that. So what I heard you say is not only drones are the sustainable alternative to fireworks, but they offer a safer and more eco-friendly option for creating those stunning visual displays that maybe you should capture of your event if you have put so much effort into it. And unlike the traditional pyrotechnics, drones can be reused, and they can be programmed for unique and interactive performances. And if cost is an issue, I would say just have a conversation conversation, because
That's
you might be
right.
surprised. One of my most favorite examples of drones in action was used during a Smart Meetings health and wellness event last year in Arizona. I was at the Wigman resort, and they used drones to create this breathtaking display. I think it was also my first one. And maybe because it was my first one, probably was the most memorable one. Because, the first time you see it, you're always going to be like, oh my goodness, this is something else. And it really felt innovative. And it felt like it really aligned perfectly with the event's wellness team. And it was able to, also capture all of us just looking at it like, oh my gosh, mesmerized. What is this magical thing that we are experiencing right now? And I love the sustainability benefit that it can really make the drones to be a excellent choice for events, especially if you do focus on that environmental responsibility. So thank you, Chip, for mentioning that and breaking it down for us. Any question? Let's see, actually, questions or comments. I think Marie Johnson said, I love drone shows and believe they have so much potential. Couldn't agree more. Synchronized fireworks to music that's playing for events. Yes, please, more of those.
And the other thing is your pets are going to thank you when there's less fireworks and more drone shows.
True. Claire, you are right. Yes, it does take, hundreds and hundreds of drones to program and synchronize to make that happen. And that's why you would want to have a conversation with a qualified vendor. That also happens to have a drone license, by the way. You do have to have an FDA-approved drone license. Don't just go with something random that gave you an estimate and then you realize that you're breaking some law. Let's not do that. Explore those opportunities as something different. That's basically what we're trying to say here.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I think we're coming to an end here, and we've talked about our 9 or 10 trends by now. Really quick to recap, we touched on personalization. We touched on networking lounges and matchmaking. We touched on AI chatbots for registration and engagement. We touched on data analysis and how you can turn metrics into action. We touched on sustainability with a bit of a technology twist, right? We touched on breaking language barriers, which, again, some feelings attached to that, gamification and wearables, and drone-based experiences. Anything that comes to mind to wrap up our trend session before I want to touch a little bit into the human touch that always matters before we conclude today's session.
Absolutely. So just like we were talking about with the chatbots earlier, nothing is going to take away the impact of human interaction. So no matter how much AI you bring in or how many robots and drones you have, that interaction is that's the purpose of all this. These in-person events drives that human connection, which is the power of human energy. So I think that's a slogan that we have or something. But yeah, that's the intention behind all of this. And all of these enhancements in the technology is how you can enhance that experience.
Absolutely. I think no matter how advanced AI might get or how advanced our technology tools might become, they can't replace the power of a shared meal, a handshake, a smile, a meaningful conversation. I hope we don't get there where it will replace it, because I have worries for my kids as adults if that will happen. And to me, human connection is truly the foundation of trust and collaboration. And if you think about it, like it is, it's formed when we share stories, when we share experiences, when we laugh at things like, let's not invade our airspace with drones. I think Claire said that. Very true. Those are the moments that our attendees take home with them. They might not remember the best meal or technology or speech or whatever it is that you thought was going to be the piece of resistance. What they're going to remember is those moments that are the memories that we form, the core memories that we form. And to me, that is what the human touch is all about. And I think it's our job as event professionals to design those type of connections, to foster those type of connections. And obviously that means, balancing the use of technology, the use of AI with the spaces and the moments where we encourage real connection. And that could be through intentional networking opportunities. It could be through designing small group activities and gamification moments, right? Or it could simply be by allowing for some unstructured time to just connect. And many people actually, it's so funny, because it was data that came out that a lot of people go to events because they want to relax. They need to escape from their everyday job. And if they come to our events and instead of like recharge, they feel like literally they need another week to just recoup from that, I don't know if our efforts were put in the right direction. So let's think about all of those things. Let's think about those trends and traditions as a way where we put our effort in a way that makes a real difference in the world and fosters the connection that personally, that's what I live for.
Yeah, excellent. I'll touch on one more comment if you don't mind.
Absolutely, yes.
What's one way that you've maintained a personal touch at events despite using advanced technology? And some people are commenting games,
that's good
games, but the small or one-on-one or small group interactions where people actually meet and get to know each other are hugely important. Whether it's your attendees meeting or any, however, that personal touch, that one-to-one or one to small groups, that's how I think you can maintain that sense of belonging and happiness that people are looking for. So that's
absolutely.
just
Yeah, absolutely. The most successful events, I think, are definitely the ones where attendees leave feeling connected, inspired, valued, which I hope all of you feel after this live stream. And I know that we didn't necessarily touch very deep into each one of those technologies and into AI. And we'll be more than happy to share some resources with you. Jill has already dropped in the chat quite a few. Do check out the resources that will follow after this live stream. And then if you have desire for us to touch on any specific topic, we're here for it. Let us know. And we would love to structure a conversation around that topic, whatever that might be. And I think with that, I mean, I'm so excited that we got to do this. Chip, thank you so much for being such an amazing co-host.
thank you. Thank you for your support with this. And thanks to Jill again and Sarah for help from our marketing team for helping us get this off the ground.
Absolutely. Thank you to everyone that joined us. We have such an active audience, very engaged and present. I really appreciate that. So I hope you take any of those tools that we uncovered today and give those tools a try, a spin, and let us know how that goes.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.